Hi friends, I'm Christina from the Pacific Beach Library. Thank you for joining me for our Adult Create session today. I would like to show you how you can create your very own tree ornament that has two images from the classic 1988 adventure and holiday film Die Hard, starring Bruce Willis. As you can see, they look lovely on my tree here, and you too can have it displayed on your tree, deciding which of the two views of John McClane and Die Hard you want to show off. We're actually going to be showing Die Hard at the Pacific Beach Library where I work next Monday night at 5 o'clock. I invite you to come watch it on the big screen. Perhaps it's been a few decades since you saw it on the big screen. Maybe you never saw it on the big screen. Monday night, the 20th at 5 o'clock is your chance to see Die Hard on the big screen. But in the meantime, let's learn how you can make your very own tree ornament. I found a wonderful pattern for making it using a template. It was actually, I went ahead and adapted it just a tiny bit. The template is the same as what I found online, and I credited the person who designed it. But yeah, what I'd encourage you to do is print one off from the website. It is on the calendar page for the San Diego Public Library events calendar. And I have it both on cardstock and in regular. I did it both ways, like this one. Nope, this one was my, nope, sorry. I've made a couple of these now as testers. This was my first one. I made it just with standard paper. You wrap it in foil in order to get it to look like an air duct vent. And that does give it enough stability that it will hold up well. But if you can use cardstock, it will be a little firmer and crisper for the edges. But the regular paper covered in foil will also work perfectly well. So I printed one on standard paper just to show you how it'll look when it prints out. The template, as I said, is on our calendar page. And then I made one in cardstock that I already cut out, so you don't need to wait to watch me cutting things. The supplies you're going to need, in addition to printing out your sheet, is a pair of scissors. I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the ends of my two John McClanes in preparation for what's going to come. And then you will also need some aluminum foil. You just have a bit cut out of that. You will need glue of some sort. I prefer a glue stick. I think it's a little tidier, but you could use liquid glue if that works better for you. A push pin or something like that just to create the hole where you have the tie or the thing that's coming up out of your ornament would be really nicely. A push pin will make it easier. They recommend using a piece of bent wire. I didn't have bent wire when I made mine, so I used a paper clip. I've got a lot of those here in the library. But I was also thinking we could experiment with the little twist tie that you get in the grocery store when you're getting a bag of whatever produce or bread that you're buying. So let's go ahead and get started seeing how this works. Let's make our very own Die Hard ornament for all your Die Hard fans. All right. First step, as I said, cut it apart. The template's really easy. You're going to have a strip here that's going to be the top of your box, and another strip here that is the bottom of your box, and then the bottom is your John McClanes that get stuck in the middle of your ornament. We might as well finish with our John McClane since I already started. When I printed on cardstock too, my coloring looked a little less than great. I don't know if you can see it over on the camera very well, but in the middle of your air duct, kind of far back, set back a little bit, no one's going to be able to tell, so don't even worry about it. You can see kind of where the image ends, and there's another John McClane. So just give him a good fold there, and then you're going to fold the little tab and just glue that together. The instructions that I found online said to do that at the end, but I am very impatient. I find it extremely satisfying to have this glued, and so we're going to start with this. It's my first step, because I just feel like quickly we're already going to have something amazing done. We don't have our air duct yet, but we already have two John McClanes. And it's not going to completely fold flat. That's okay. What we're going to be doing with this is inserting it in the middle thing, and it's going to get squished a little bit so it looks like he's three-dimensional. It's funny, when I looked at the pattern, like, this is not going to look really that great. But you can see, actually, because of the foil, you can see his reflection in there against the foil, against the air duct. I actually think it looks really nice, especially considering how simple this is to make. Oh, I forgot to. I also was suggesting that we use some ribbon or yarn to tie on top, but optional. I think it's kind of fun. Okay, let's get started though with the next part. So we've already got our John McClane. We're partway there. We've already got him. Now we just need to make our air vent. All right, so let's start with the easier part, I guess. Use a scrap of your foil. On the first piece, you're just going to cover on this side the center section. Actually, I think it's easier to do it from the other side. You see where the center section is? I would say have it overlapping from the other side. That'll be a little easier. It doesn't matter really how much it overlaps. This is going to be the top of your box, but I find that it will be a little nicer to poke it through because we can actually use the little guideline. There's a dot on there to poke our center hole. So let's just go ahead and start by putting a little glue on the back of this. So I see where my square is. I'm just going to put a little glue on there. Just put some glue. I'm just going to attach it on. Decide too if you want the shiny or the less shiny side to be on the outside. I'm going to put shiny on the outside because I think it's fun. All right, so now I've poked through. I've got that on there. I'm just going to put a little bit of a, sorry, there is a tiny black dot in the center of that cross hatching. I'm just going to use my push pin to poke through, and that way later on when I want to insert the other part, it'll work. All right, so I'm just going to trim off the foil. Again, I'm not worried about this looking perfect, and actually I'm just going to trim on one side, I'm going to fold the other over. It doesn't really matter, it's not going to be very visible. What is going to be visible is on the other side. That is the side that's going to be visible. This is going to be inside of our ornament. No one's going to see it very well. Oh, I actually have enough left in my scrap that I can use that. I'm going to use that little scrap, again, shiny side out, because that's how I did it on the other way, to cover the entire other side. So I'm just going to put it this time, the foil covering that entire other side. And I think the easier way to do this, instead of trying to get the glue in the right place on the foil, you have this beautiful piece of cardstock or paper. I'm just going to put my glue on there. So I've got my glue on there, and I'm just going to attach it onto my foil, lifting it up to a really awkward angle so hopefully you can see at least some of it. Now, I can fold this over. If we do that, I think you have a smoother edge, but if you do that, you're also going to have a little bit of the fold showing inside. So I think that rather than have my edge showing, I'm going to trim it down. You can go either way with it. It doesn't really matter. It's more a matter of which is going to bug you more. If it's going to bug you to see the outside edge of this air vent, that it's going to be the color of your paper or the cardstock instead of being reflective for the foil, or if it's going to bother you more to see where you folded it over. Oh dear, yeah. I've got a lot of folds on my previous effort, so I'm going to go for it this way and just trim it down. So yeah, I'm just trimming off around the edges again. So now I've got one side that's completely silvery and one side that is not completely silvery. You know, I just realized too, I forgot to give this a bend beforehand. Fortunately, I still have my other one. I'm going to use that as a model to do my bending. So I can see where these line up. This is where a bend should be. That was silly of me to forget. We'll bend the other one before we cover it. That would be smart. And then we'll bend this one out. So I'm just bending the edge. Now that I've got one edge bent, I can fold this. Can you see all right? Use that, line up along the edge where I bent, and then make a firm crease. Let's go ahead and turn it the other way. I know I have a little bend right here. I don't know exactly where my bend is supposed to be here, but that's okay. I'll use this. I will line up along the edge, and then just make my firm crease. All right, so now I have my box that looks, this is the top of my box. One other thing too is I had a little hole poked through on one side, but not on the other. I'm just gonna continue to poke through my little hole, okay? Now the other thing too is if you didn't remember to poke the hole when you had that beautiful dot showing, it's okay. Just kind of look at it, eyeball it, boom, that looks like the center, poke a hole, it's okay. So now this one, I did learn my lesson. I'm going to give this a fold following those guidelines before I cover in foil. By the way, I hope you guys are having a good day and that are not getting too stressed out about the holiday season. Should be fun. I like doing decorations like this though. I think they're really enjoyable. Okay. I cut off a big piece of foil for myself because I did not want to have to run out in the middle to get more of our demonstration. So really, I probably cut off way more than I need. I'm going to kind of eyeball this. I need to go twice, so I'm going to go about yay big. I'm just going to cut it out to a little smaller. Ah, I'm going to cut it out very crookedly, apparently. Wow, this is really crooked. It's okay. It is okay. Okay. So, with this one, I think the directions I saw that I read initially said cover one side, then cover the other side. I don't understand why you'd make it harder for yourself. I say cover one side and then fold it over and cover the other side. So let's do that. We're going to start. We can see I've cut off enough foil that I can cover it, fold it, and still have a little overlap. So I'm going to cut off that edge. Again, I have a shinier side of my foil and a duller side. I'm going to have the shinier side facing out. And so I'm going to have the duller side facing me right now as I'm working. I'm going to glue on my cardstock or paper, again, whichever you had. That is okay. Let's go ahead and glue, glue, glue. Speaking of which, if you studied French in junior high or high school, they probably told you that the sound fish make for French school children is glue. Sorry. That is really useful knowledge, but I do think of it perhaps sometimes when I'm gluing. Alright, so we've glued it onto one side. I have those beautiful creases that we already made, and they're there. What I'm going to do now to get the silver onto the other side, continue to glue, 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 along our cardstock, and then we can just fold that over. So I'm going to do that right now. Oh, sorry, I'll move it to where you guys can see. If there are any really fun ornaments or other decorations that you've made, let me know about them. Please post them in the comments. Or if you've made any of the things that have been shared here on the virtual hub, if you have any photos to share, you can post it on this or somewhere else, like on the video that you saw. I would love to see those too. I know that one of my coworkers created, Robert from the Pacific Beach Library, created this amazing pine cone tree that I didn't carry into my office here because it's rather heavy. I just brought this one instead to display our tree ornaments, but it was so gorgeous. I was like, I hope folks actually make it. It's so lovely. Okay, so you can see where I put it here, or have my little creases on the foil. I'm just going to go ahead and cut those out. As I said, instead of folding them over, which I did on my other iterations of this, my other practice ornaments, this time instead of having the foil folded over, I decided just to trim it to the edge. Okay. So now I've got my foil, and I'm going to again follow those creases that I made before. So I've got, ooh, very shiny. I've got a very shiny little part of a box, and I've got this that's going to be the top of the box. As you can probably guess, we're going to glue the non-shiny parts to that shiny part, so it makes our box. Now here is where it gets, oh sorry, I just noticed these edges, they're not sticking, so let me just stick those down. I want those to stick. Where we had a little extra that it's going to get folded or covered up by the glue later on, by the sides. All right, let's get those covered up. All right, so what we can do, and this is something I didn't see in the original pattern or the instructions, but for me when I was trying to make it, I found it worked better. As you're making this, they recommend you can put in your topper at the very end. I think this is a good time to do it. So you can either use a paper clip or a random piece of wire. Again, I didn't have a random piece of wire in my office here, except I had paper clips and I have a little twist tie, again, like you get in the grocery store. I just want to try that to see if it's going to work. I don't know if it will, and if not, we'll go back to paper clip. But I was really hoping it would. So this little twist tie is one of the ones that's covered in paper, but it has that little metallic wire in the middle. I think that what we can do is just sort of trim down the little green along the edge. Let me just do this so you can see. Can you see that okay? So I trimmed it so the green, I'm getting rid of some of that green paper. Let's see if this will work. I'm thinking too what I might need to do is my little hole is quite small. I might need to poke it a little bit bigger. There we go. So I gave it an extra poke, just a little to the, like about half a millimeter or so to the side, so I could make that hole bigger. So now I have a bigger hole. And so what I'm going to try doing is folding over my green twist tie and see if I can insert them, like thread it through that hole. Yay, success! Because, let's just look at that again, because I trimmed them down, you can see that they're thinner here and then it gets a little wider. So as I poke them through that hole and thread it through, it gets to a natural stopping point where because it's thicker, it won't go through. What I can do now is take those little bits, twist them together, and open them up. So it's like creating a brad. And so that brad is going to hold it in place. Now, another thing I can do too, if I want to let this spin, I could. I am really persnickety sometimes, and I think a little piece of tape to hold that in place is a nice thing. I'm going to have it going horizontally in the same direction of where these flaps are at, because I want them to be covered by the little John McClane that's going to be in the middle of my design. All right, so now this I can adjust it. I can have this able to hang on my tree. I could attach a ribbon to it or an ornament hook, whatever I want to, but this is really pretty. I personally like this little piece of wire or bag tie better than I liked how my paperclip version came out. But again, use what you have. I mean, that's the fun thing about being creative with these crafts. You can adapt it to what you have and what you've worked with in the past. It should be fun. All right, so now we've made our John McClane in the very beginning. He's ready and waiting for us. Again, the pattern that I saw, or the instructions I saw, just said, set your John McClane in the middle there. He will just sort of stay in place when you attach the other thing. But as you can see, my John McClane likes to twist around. He's very twisty. And so what I found worked well is you can either glue the bottom or just put a little piece of tape discreetly to hold him into place. I'm going to go with tape. Love me some tape. So I'm just going to put a little here, and I'm going to hold the tape in along my finger there, so that way it's not going to immediately hit the foil covered piece. What I'm going to do is sort of, again, I'm holding the tape up along my finger, so there's the tape peeping out. Hello, hello. But I'm going to pull it back so that when I first put my John McClane against the edge of the ornament, it's not going to get taped immediately. I'm going to set him down, and you can decide how wide you want him to be. And I think the main factor to consider on that is once you bring up the sides of your ornament, that's going to squish him a little flatter and give him more three-dimensionality. And so if you, I wish I had a taller surface. Oh, I do. Here we go. Let's give us a little taller surface to work on so you can see a bit better. I think that works. Okay, so when I put him here, he's extending beyond the edges, right? But when I hold the edges up, you can see how he's kind of squishes out and gets more three-dimensional. Let's try that again. Can you see? Flat John McClane, squishy three-dimensional John McClane. All right. That wasn't perhaps as illustrative as I wanted, but let's go ahead and tape it down. So as I hold this in place with my sides lifted up, I'm just going to release that tape and let it slide, or let it attach to the thing. So now I've got them taped on one side but not on the other. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just a little piece of tape. I'm going to insert it on the inside. Use my finger to hold it up so that way it's out of the way. It's not going to immediately get onto my ornament. Squish up the sides so I can figure out how three-dimensional I want him to be. And now I just release the tape and it falls into place exactly where it belongs. Now if you want to adjust him later on, it's just a smidge of tape. You can adjust it. It's not a big deal. But there we go. We have our three-dimensional John McClane in part of an air vent. He needs a top. Let's go attach that on. So we're going to just tape that into place, or glue that into place. Again, easiest way to do this, I think, is to, well, I guess I can keep that. Glue along the, nope, can't do that over a library book. You get a piece of scratch paper. There we go. Glue that along the edges, and because I really want the edges to be sealed, I'm gluing beyond the edges. Normally I'm a little tidy and I try to keep it in a little bit. Not this time. I want it to go right to the edge of my surface. And so I'm getting glue all over the place. So let's go ahead and, or actually I can have the book, can't I? Let's try that again. So on the other side, I have my surface, I'm protecting my library book. I'm just going to use my glue stick and I'm going to glue all the way along the edges so that they're going to attach on to my box, my little ornament. Okay. Now we can take this, attach it onto one side, hold it in place, press, press, press. Now on some of the other ones I may not have gotten it all the way to the edge. You can do these corrections now. That's the beauty of do-it-yourself. You can do it yourself. You can still fix it. All right, so now we're going to attach our John McClane here. We're going to fold the box over and just glue him down. Now again, if you find that you maybe made him a little too squishy and that he's, you have a little gap on the sides, you can go ahead and, just readjust that tape on the bottom. Or maybe you didn't make him small enough and so he's getting a really weird angle. You can adjust that pretty easily. But yeah, here we go. Just hold that in place and you've got your ornament created. Again, this particular template shows two different views, two different looks, if you will. I believe the line, if anyone wants to quote me on it, is something like, they said come to the coast, have a little, have a little fun, maybe go to a party. I think that's what it was, something like that. I was actually just rewatching Die Hard the other night in preparation for our screening that we're having at the library, and it was so much fun. I realized it'd been years since I'd seen it. Now, attaching a ribbon is optional. I do like a ribbon though. Ribbons make things better. Today I have yarn, also quite serviceable as ribbon. And so I'm just going to add a little length to it, tie it on. I've got my pretty little ribbon ready to go. If I don't want it to, if I wanted to use this to attach it onto something and I don't want it to keep pulling through, just do like you do with shoelaces, give it a double knot there. There we go. I've got my pretty little decorative bow. I can still attach an ornament holder. I could use one of these parts of the bow as my ornament holder, and whoops, and there we go. I've got my Die Hard ornament, and apparently I have a Die Hard tree. It's just sort of happened. But yeah, you can choose if you want to display this side or that side. Or again, I think I saw a wonderful, wonderful suggestion from the folks at the Rancho Penasquitos Library about doing a unicorn picture, decorating with sparkles and jewels. I love that idea. You could put any shiny image that you like in, or shiny thing inside, and you'd have it reflecting along. And you can see too, even though, like, can you see how like our John is reflected along the sides of our incredibly fancy metal ornament? It's aluminum foil around paper. Yeah, super, super easy, a lot of fun. And if you have any Die Hard fans, a great gift for everyone to enjoy. So thank you very much, friends. I'm glad you could join me today. Take care. Bye-bye.